Hi and welcome to today's video. I want to talk about another book, and that is called The New Revelations by Neale Donald Walsch. That was published in 1995, and it comes after Conversations with God 1, 2, and 3, if I'm not wrong. And the New Revelations, by saying new, they imply that there is a connection with the Revelations, which is a gospel, a part of a book within the Bible, which is a collection of books. So the Revelations is in the New Testament, and they give us insights. They gave Christians insights into the nature of God and many different things that can be understood or were understood by me as restrictive and sometimes very damaging. So when I read the New Revelations, I felt a lot of healing within and absolutely loved it, so much so that I had to share it with you. So that's what we're doing together today. I collected a few extracts, and just like last time when I read to you a few paragraphs from a book by Neale Donald Walsch called Conversations with God, today we're just reading a little bit, and I just have to say the context is Neale Donald Walsch channels a conversation. So he's asking questions to God and God answers. So Conversations with God and most of his books, Friendship with God, Communion with God, they're all that back and forth between him expressing things that are sometimes not necessarily things that he thinks, but they dive deeper into a conversation that can apply and resonate with every reader. So there's that back and forth. So I'm not gonna try to do voices. Most of the extracts are actually just God speaking. So let's go. The basic principles of life are functionality, adaptability, sustainability. All of life exhibits these principles. All of life demonstrates them. One of these internal principles stands behind each of your temporary mental constructions, waiting to be revealed. Yet, they are covered and hidden by these mental constructions, for they, in turn, are based on false thoughts about life. Because your mental constructions are distorted attempts to express underlying life principles, they produce distorted results. For instance, here are 3 of your species' most popular mental constructions. The first one I've already mentioned. These are simple ideas you hold in your head that you have translated into social conventions, customs, and practices. Morality, justice, ownership. These are among your most cherished philosophical, political, and economic concepts. What are the life principles they seek to express? In the case of morality, the underlying principle is functionality. In case of justice, the underlying principle is adaptability. In the case of ownership, it is sustainability. The idea is not to live without them, justice, morality, ownership, but to elevate them, to lift them up to the next level of articulation and expression, to move from concept to principle in the living of your lives. This is about raising consciousness, or becoming more fully aware of all that is involved in the process of life expressing. So, between morality and functionality. But what if morals, which are movable feasts in any event, were not part of the equation? What if the only question was functionality? Whether a particular action or reaction worked or did not work, based on what it is you were trying to be, do, or have. Now you have an entirely different context within which to consider your response. Now you're looking at things in an entirely different way. Now you are outside the box in which you have trapped yourselves as a species in a never-ending cycle of violence, destruction, and death. So to use the example above, which I did not mention, does the death penalty do what you want it to do? Does it have functionality? That's the whole complex idea that justice means punishment, Whereas if we had something that was functional, so we don't want anything to not be functional and to harm others, how would we work at that? How would we create as a society a system that works for everyone? Then we have the concept of adaptability. Quoting, "Life always expresses the principle of adaptability. Life is, first of all, functional. That is a basic quality of life. It functions, and it functions in a particular way that allows it to keep on functioning. When functionality is threatened in a way, life finds a way to adapt or adjust in order to keep on functioning." This principle of adaptability is what is called, in evolutionary theory, selectivity. Life selects, through the process of life itself, the aspects or functions of all living things that allow that living thing to continue living. By this means, a species evolves. And when it does, a third basic principle of life is expressed: sustainability. Life becomes sustainable by adapting its functionality. All life everywhere expresses these three principles, and the principles are circular, flowing, allowing life itself to continue eternally. Life and everything in life is functional, or if it can no longer function in a particular way or mode, it adapts, adjusting whatever it needs to adjust in order to become sustainable. Sustainability creates a circling back to its being functional again, and on through the cycle over and over again, forever and even forevermore. And now for the third revelation, sustainability. Life seeks always to sustain itself. That is a basic life principle. You, as an expression of life, will seek to do the same thing. You have built a mental construct around how to do this that plays itself out as a social convention that you call ownership. You claim ownership over all those things that you wish to see sustained. Seeking to express the life principle of sustainability, you claim ownership of your own body, then of the body of your mate, then of your children. You say that your children are yours, and you say the same thing about your spouse. And you treat these people as if you own them. So, too, with land and other articles and property. You have it that the very planet on which you live, this sphere that revolves around the sun and spin in its majesty one complete cycle every 24 hours, is something that you actually own, at least in parcels. You have decided that this heavenly body, this celestial element, does not belong to life itself, but rather to individual human beings, or, in some cases, to their representatives, that is, their governments. And so you have divvied up the very earth itself, placing imaginary boundaries on that which has no boundaries, and claiming personal ownership not only of the land itself, but of the ground as far down as it goes, and the minerals and resources within it, and of the sky as far up as it goes, which is, of course, forever, leading to intriguing international political questions about flyover rights and how high is up. You take these ownership rights so seriously that you start wars over them and kill and die over them, when the truth is you cannot ever own any part of the planet in the solar system, even if it is a planet on which your species evolved. You are all merely stewards, seeking to take good care of that over which you have been given stewardship, including your bodies, the bodies of your mate and children, the land on which you live, and all else that you have in your care. These things are not your possessions, but simply articles that have been placed in your care. They are yours temporarily, only for safekeeping. You are asked by life itself to sustain them, to express the life principle of sustainability, but not to declare that you own them and that they belong to you and no one else. Such a thought is not in any lasting sense functional. Nothing that is possessed by anyone is possessed by them forever. nothing. Things may be in your possession, but they are not your possessions. Ownership is a temporary fiction. It is an invention of the mind, and like all mental constructions, it is temporary, having nothing to do with ultimate reality. As with all your social conventions, the idea of ownership arises from the fallacies that you hold as firm beliefs. In this case, the second fallacy about life, which is that there is not enough of whatever it is you think you need to be happy. There is enough of everything you really need to be happy, but you do not believe it. And so you seek to own whatever it is that you most desire, imagining that if you own it, you can keep it forever, and that no one can take it away from you, that you can do what you want with it, and that from this experience of ownership will come your security, your sustainability, and your happiness. Nothing could be further from the truth, as anyone who owns many things can tell you. Still, the idea persists. The idea that you can own things has caused more harm to your psyche and more damage to your species than you could ever know. This is because you think that ownership gives you rights that you do not intrinsically have. Do not worry about yourself. This is because you think that ownership gives you rights that you do not intrinsically have. Do not worry about life itself. It will go on, I promise you. You could not put an end on life if you wanted to. Life will simply adapt to whatever conditions has been created and continue. Morals are a dangerous thing, precisely because they can change from time to time across history and from culture to culture across the planet. The reasons that they change is that they are based on beliefs that are fallacious. And what many people do when they discover that certain moral instructions don't work in real life is change their morals without changing the beliefs from which they emerged. People adamantly refuse to change their most basic beliefs, but they change their morals. That is, how they apply their beliefs, at the drop of the hat to suit the situation. They've refused to change their basic belief, but they've changed their moral. Yet, if they change their morals, they have changed their beliefs, for morals are simply beliefs expressed. Therefore, they are hypocrites. They do not have belief at all. They simply want to believe that they have beliefs. This makes them feel good, but it also makes the world crazy. Let's take the time to breathe that in, to breathe all of it in. I don't want to end on that note, but I wanted to include the morals is how we apply our beliefs. So a reminder is that the 3 basic life principles mentioned in those new revelations, and how we can understand that God is life, and life is sustainability, adaptability, functionality. That changes a lot of things. I recommend the whole book. I recommend the whole audiobook. I recommend taking the time to digest that in and see if it did something for you like it did to me. Is it healing something? To see that God is not judgment, vengeance, and conditions. That God is not an entity that judges you, that can see into the very depth of you and see how a sinner you are and how you have to be forgiven day in, day out, and that everything that makes you human is not good enough and you're going to pay later on, and the only time that life gets good is after death and when you're in heaven, whereas you can make life good by being in those 3 basic principles and witnessing that God is life, that life is functionality, sustainability, and adaptability, that it's truly that, and that merges science, that merges spirit, that creates something that's beautiful, that wants to evolve, that keeps on moving, that keeps on flowing. If you have watched my previous video called Pantarei, Everything is Flowing, that's something that can work too, that can dive deeper into that revelation or reflection. And to see that we're really that ecosystem, it's really that that vision for me is Earth within its atmosphere, and the different weathers and the different changes in temperature, in the heat, the humidity, the warmth, the dryness. Like, that's how I understand life. That's how I understand auras. That's how I see everybody's energy body when I'm working with them. The chakras are that heat, we have the cold, we have the frozen, we have the stuckness, we have the movement, we have the adaptability, we have the beautiful functionality, we have everything is a dance, the dance of the planets around the sun, the dance of the energies around our chakras, around our energy centers, around our soul star, around our earth star. Everything is that. It's a cosmic dance. It's so beautiful, and there is no judgment. There just is. There is. And then we can seek what makes us feel better. We can seek what makes us vibrate in life, in communion with life, with the divine within us. So I hope this was fun. I hope this was something of value. I hope that this interested you, and if you are watching this video for the first time, and if you are watching a video for the first time on my channel, I have a Patreon with a lot more videos, but I also have this channel which is filled with such explorations, and I would love a little like, a little comment, a little subscribe if it's not done already, and take care of yourself. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day. Bye.